Hi everybody! So our project is about how ports and marine infrastructure affect the environment and local economy. So over time, ocean and coastal machinery have chemical runoff that pollutes the surrounding areas both in the water and local shoreline ecological communities. By surveying the damage done by maritime vehicles and ports, we found a closer look at the effects that can be seen. Water pollution can affect local fishing colonies, and then can cause fisheries and marine life-based industries to decline in production, which has long-term and lasting effects on local communities and the economy of the municipal area. So how might this intersect with the water and coastal environment? Ports and maritime vessels can leak or have chemical spills from use over time. Repetitive leaks can cause the concentration of the chemicals in the local marine environment to accumulate and rise to a harmful level. The surrounding sea life and marine plants are not adapted to live in environments with such high concentrations of those chemicals. This can pose a threat of potential harm to them. Another source of pollution on the coast is waste disposal. Improper waste disposal can cause trash to be accumulating in the ocean. One risk of this is that the marine animals can consume plastic waste instead of their actual food. Another example of how improper disposal of waste affects the coastal environment is that oil spills create hazardous climates for animals and coastal life. So what does chemistry have to do with this? Coastal pollution and chemical leaks input more harmful chemicals into the water. An example of this, like I said earlier, is oil spills on the water. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, oil is a compound made of hydrogen and oxygen atoms. These form petroleum hydrocarbons that are either aromatics or alkanes. And aromatics are 6 carbon rings, which are most deadly to marine life, and this poses a significant threat. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Josh Alfaro, and our team had 4 members, but 2 of the members stopped participating during the research of the boat lab project. Starting after the initial boat lab, there were communication issues that resulted in 2 members not continuing work with the rest of the group. The team members are Meredith Jenkins, Isaac Martinez, Josh Alfaro, and Joshua Ritchie. The active members of the group were Meredith Jenkins and Isaac Martinez. Each member had different jobs during the research of the boat lab project. Meredith was the team manager, Isaac was the research facilitator, Josh A was the team facilitator, and Joshua Ritchie was the product manager. Our greatest challenge as a group was equal participation. The majority of the work was taken on by only 2 of the members, which created a struggle for the group. We overcame that by doing our own work plus the work assigned to the other 2 members. We were able to finish the deliverables in a timely manner. The agreement had both positive and challenging aspects. While it provided some guidance, there were certain aspects that required additional effort to navigate, since most of the group members weren't active at the time. Our initial proposals was communication. Well, mine was to focus on having communication with my teammates, but that failed. So everyone mostly depended on doing their work individually. Communication was our main problem because there was a lack of structured communication and defined roles. Team members were uncertain about when and how to communicate during the project and have project updates or seek clarification. While only 2 members were active doing the deliverables together, 1 member did his own individual work and the other never communicated and stopped showing up to the chem labs. Thank you.
During our boat trip, we had to photograph areas along the Bay of Galveston. In this first photograph, we have the SSS Selma in frame with birds and people fishing. The actual site of the SSS Selma shows how marine engineers need to be mindful of the metals and materials in the ship so that it does not deteriorate from corrosion and cause potential chemical leaching. The second photo relates to our proposal the most, since it exemplifies all 3 of our problem statements: ship maintenance, port machinery, and chemical waste. This picture contains all of the elements as there are chemical plants and ships docked along the port of Galveston. It also shows how close of a proximity plants and dock ships are to the endemic life in the Galveston Bay. With excessive sulfur from the plants and copper from the ship's anti-fouling paint, there is also a possibility of creating a toxic environment that would make the waters not suitable for marine life to thrive in. The third photo shows people fishing, demonstrating a positive relationship as people and fish tend to appear in cleaner water. The presence of ships do not disturb fish from the natural habitat. However, the water is cleaner due to it being further away from potential point and non-point sources of pollution. The fourth photograph demonstrates how the water near sulfur plants is safe enough for marine animals to live in. However, it also underlines how engineers need to maintain their operation space and dispose waste properly to reduce the possibility of negatively altering the ecosystem. The final photograph shows how there is less activity of wildlife as pollutants caused by the fuel emitted from ships is toxic to marine life. Engineers need to be mindful about the fuel that they burn to try and reduce polluting the waters near Galveston further. Our research and resources support how shipping can have environmental impacts. Now, these impacts can include air pollution, acoustic and oil pollution, and water pollution. Starting off with atmospheric pollution, high sulfur content such as bunker oil is burned in the engines of ships, releasing sulfur dioxide, nitric oxide, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and hydrocarbons. Excessive amounts of sulfur can also attribute to acidic rain. Next off, noise pollution caused by shipping can also disturb marine organisms that rely on sound for communication. These marine mammals or species also have the chance of being struck by the rotators of the ships. Moving on with water pollution, cruise ships, large tankers, or just bulk cargo carriers utilize a large sum of ballast water, which is then released into coastal waters as wastewater. Now, this water can include foreign organisms or biological materials, throwing off the balance in the ecosystem. Disposal of wastewater, also known as blackwater, can release harmful organisms into the environment. These excessive nutrients can also prompt algae blooms, which lead on to dead zone caused by eutrophication. Solid waste that becomes marine debris also pose a threat to marine organisms and coastal communities. Even if the waste is incinerated, which 75% of solid waste is, the ash is discharged to the sea, further reinforcing the problem of eutrophication. Finally, bilge water in ships has a chance of containing solid waste, pollutants, oils, or other chemicals, and if it isn't disposed of properly, it can leach into the sea, creating further issues. The current scientific areas that already exist to help identify and alleviate this problem are chemical sciences, such as chemists. They create new methods for water treatment. Currently, ballast water is being treated with UV lamps, which is then oxidized with biocides to disinfect the water. But how is this problem affecting the marine environment? Well, there's eutrophication that leads to algae blooms, which result in dead zones. There is ocean acidification, and there is just general erosion along the bay and the Port of Galveston. But how should engineers handle this problem? Well, they can either economize the shipping industry or make ship anti-fouling paints more effective to reduce biofouling. But ships can also opt in for electrolytic systems, in which a current is passed through two anodes that produce copper ions to prevent marine organisms from attaching to the hull, or implement ultrasonic systems, in which a high-frequency electric impulse would prevent marine growth from attaching to piping. But engineers can also help create a lower sulfur fuel. Now, what is our idea to overcome this problem? Well, we have many. The first would be proper maintenance of ships or stricter regulation of vessels. But a more specific idea would be to implement hydrogen-powered boats through hydrogen fuel cells. Now, I would like to speak a little about these two pictures near me. Well, these two pictures were taken very close to each other, but there's a clear difference in water quality. The photo on top of me on the right has more water turbidity, while the photo on the left of me looks cleaner and less murky. But the only difference is that the photo on the left of me was taken further away from the photo on the right of me. But why is that? Well, the photo on the right is closer to more plants and ship docking, which makes the water look a lot murkier because of these chemical leaching pollutants, and wastewater being disposed into the bay.